tracking is from the world of sports, where Indian star player Jasprit Bumrah has been ruled out of the three-match ODI series versus Sri Lanka. The 29-year-old pacer has been out of action owing to stress fracture in the back, and he was recently included in the squad after being declared fit by NCA. Now, Bumrah, who was set to join the team in Guwahati ahead of the ODI series, will need some more time to build bowling resilience, and the decision has been taken as a precautionary measure. Remember, India played their first ODI against Sri Lanka on 10th of January in Guwahati, and now it remains to be seen whether India will pick Bumrah for the ODI series against New Zealand, which is set to begin on January 18th. To join me with more details, I have my colleague Karishma joining me live on this broadcast. So, Karishma, of course, there has been an injury that Bumrah, pacer, has been dealing with. But now, what are the odds of him probably being selected for the New Zealand game, and what are we looking at in terms of this current ODI series?
Well, Jasprit Bumrah, of course, has been ruled out of the current ODI series that starts tomorrow versus Sri Lanka. The BCCI, in its official statement, has said that more time needs to be given to Jasprit Bumrah to build bowling resilience. Now, he was declared fit by the BCCI. He was declared fit by the National Cricket Academy on the 3rd of January and was subsequently included in the ODI squad as well. But just 6 days later, the BCCI has decided to take precautionary measure and rule him out of the ODI series versus Sri Lanka. Remember, Aksha, this also happens to be a World Cup year, and BCCI has made it clear that they are going to keep rotating players, and the focus will be on the 20 shortlisted players for the World Cup. And it goes without saying that Jasprit Bumrah is going to be a lethal weapon for India in the 2023 World Cup that happens in India in October, November. So that could also one of the reasons that BCCI decided to not rush Jasprit Bumrah. Whether he is available for the series against New Zealand or not, we will know in due course when the selection committee gets together to select the team for the tour of New Zealand. But in my opinion, they will be keeping Jasprit Bumrah fully fit for the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Australia coming to India in February, because at stake is the World Test Championship, and if India were to beat Australia, they could be playing versus Australia in the World Test Championship final.
Karishma, yes, if we could also ask you that hopes were really high. People were waiting for Bumrah's, comeback with this series. Are you suggesting that this is actually a move to keep him fitter for the upcoming series, and that Sri Lanka versus India ODI series can be managed without this star pacer currently? Because he was on the list earlier and now recently has been dropped.
Well, yes, India has been playing for quite some time now without Jasprit Bumrah. T20 World Cup also an example of playing without Jasprit Bumrah. So India, yes, of course, can manage without India's star pacer. But of course, when we talk about World Cup, when we talk about important series, we would want Jasprit Bumrah to be there in the team because remember, he is one of the best pacers, not just in India, but in the world. And clearly that is why BCCI going ahead and taking precautionary measure against for Jasprit Bumrah and excluding him from the squad against Sri Lanka, the ODI squad versus Sri Lanka. And in my opinion, he is going to be kept fully fit for the Border Gavaskar Trophy. He could possibly play against New Zealand also. Like I said, only we will know that only in due course. But the focus, of course, is going to be on Test cricket, which is the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and then, of course, the 2023 World Cup, which the BCCI has made it amply clear is its top priority this year, and the 20 shortlisted players will be focused upon by the BCCI, by the NCA and everyone involved to ensure that India gives its best performance in the World Cup this year.
Karishma, thank you so much for joining us live on this broadcast with all those details. So we do have breaking news which has come in that Jasprit Bumrah star pacer, 29-year-old, has been out of action owing to stress fracture in the back, but he was recently included in the India versus Sri Lanka squad, but has now been dropped after being declared unfit by the NCA. This series, of course, is starting from January 10th. Well, moving on to the next.